or your favorite platform.
I am so honored to have Christina Simon once again of Portal Místico. Today, we are going to discuss everything having to do with psychic abilities and astrology. And for those that are astrology lovers, Christina and I did a phenomenal episode on the eclipses for 2024, 2025, and how that is going to affect us and how we're going to awaken as a whole in consciousness. And we also discussed Venezuela's chart, which, if everybody knows, there's some political issues in Venezuela. That's my home country. And I invited her because she is a lover of Venezuela and Venezuelans. I thought, let's have her on the show. And I wanted to discuss with her what is to come for our beloved Venezuela and our Venezuelans. And she just really went step by step about the chart. And we also did Nicolas Maduro, which is the current president. We did his chart too. So it was very informative. If you're Venezuelan, know Venezuelans, and you want to share this episode or that episode with them, that would be great. Thank you for all your support, guys. I love hearing from you, all your questions and ideas and suggestions for new topics. And actually, I got a few people that wanted to know more about psychic abilities. We're going to do that tonight. And we're also going to talk about astrology. Let's welcome Christina Simon. All right. Welcome, my friend. I'm so excited to have you back. And we have so much to discuss this evening.
Oh, thank you so much to having me again. I'm very excited because today we are having an amazing topic, and I was really excited about that. The psychic abilities, actually, in general, to talking about that because you are being a psychic yourself. And I also going to mention the indicators of psychic abilities in astrology.
Wow, I love that. Let's start with that first. So, what is the indicators in astrology? Because for all the listeners,
Yes, so there is a lot of indicators. For example, first of all, that we have to go through the water sign in general. Water signs in astrology is Pisces, Cancer, and also Scorpio. And that rules the fourth house, eighth house, and the 12th house. And usually those signs do have psychic abilities, definitely. The 12th house actually anything to do with dreams, the 8th house, because that's ruled by Neptune and Jupiter, which is rules Pisces, and not just the dreams and prophetic dreams and intuition as well. The 8th house is Scorpio. This is the underworld. This is something to do with going really deep. And that kind of very deep feeling when you have an instinct and you feel like who is wrong, who is right, who is evil around you, for example. But that's also associated with psychic ability. And in the 12th house, Neptune is actually the subconscious itself. And if you have any placement in those houses, and usually good placements like trines, conjunctions, or anything to do with also sextile, those are indicating psychic abilities as well. But there is a lot of asteroids as well. For example, asteroids like Psyche, and that is the Psyche is for the Greek word soul. And also we have Hecate. Hecate was actually goddess of witchcraft, and we also have Cassandra. And Cassandra is the Trojan prophet. And we also have fixed stars like Argol, the Medusa. She also had a lot of intuition and psychic abilities, and Antares as well. And those are all, if they are well situated in head, that bringing in healing, intuitions, and things like that. And there is also one more fixed star actually, and that is Unuka. And that one is really associated with intuition and healing and faith as well.
wow, I love that. I love that. I know when you read for me, I think I have a Neptune in the eighth house. Does that make you, uh, like you said, I was really psychic? You
Yeah,
know?
Neptune in the eighth house representing actually because Neptune is your subconscious, that's your dreams. Eighth house is actually the people who passed on. So Neptune, the people who passed on could come through to you through your dreams.
And they do. My brother, when he passed away, he came in multiple times, and I saw him smiling. I didn't have a conversation. It wasn't that type. Like he didn't say anything to me, but he just had this like beautiful smile. And I think that everybody that is or has that innate psychic ability, which we're going to talk about in a minute here, but I just wanted to share. So, if you do have something in the eighth house, generally that would be an indicator that you do have, or you're prone, or you could develop your psychic abilities.
Oh, yeah. Everybody can develop that intuition. And actually, if you are a Jose Silva mind technique or mind control, we call it, but that is Silva mind control graduate, you are capable to actually improve your intuition and your psychic abilities. Jose Silva was the guy who, and I graduated with him multiple times, who and NLP, everything with like the brain waves and who are you capable to use it, who helped his children, 4 children, with, okay, somebody was knocking on the door and just stay over here and just think of a person and try to find out who is there. And the children, his children, many times came up with the right answers. And after a while, they were like 99% correct. You just have to practice. Everybody has intuition. Everybody has psychic ability. The intuition usually, because of the brain gut connection, when you feel some kind of crunch or something in your belly, around your belly button, that is for sure, okay, I am getting some. And I'm talking about intuition over here because visions, like a lot of psychic has, or I have as well, that is totally different. It is just coming out from nowhere and you just get a picture in. And sometimes at the beginning, you don't even know how to translate it. But yeah, that is different.
Yeah, now pausing for a second. How did you I know we discussed this last episode, but I know that you told me that your mother was a palm she read the palm, she was a palmistry?
Yes.
So what was your first encounter with knowing you had a gift or a vision, and how old were you? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yes. So actually, not only me, but my whole family is psychic. My husband, my 2 children, and I'm gonna talk about them as well. But my very first time, I died when I was born. And yes, so I was dead. And then there was a very young medic who came in and started to do some kind of CPR on me, put me in hot water, cold water, and I came back after 4 minutes. But they told my mom I'm going to be mentally challenged. And I wasn't, but my EEG, my brain waves are very different like other people. Many times they thought I have a brain tumor because of what happened with me when I was a stillborn. It's totally different. I went to neurologist after neurologist. I had some when I was 10 years old. I got blind one day to another and I lost my vision for 2 hours, 3 hours, and it's all came with psychic visions. But the very first time when it happened, and it was very big, when I was 10 years old, 10 till 17, I lost 8 of my friends. They all died tragically.
But like in car accident or just individual?
3 of them died in water-related accident. They drowned. 3 of them died in car accident. And actually, I had 3 more who committed suicide.
Wow, and this was in Hungary.
I have seen them and they came to me and it was very weird and awkward. But the very, very first time when I was 15 years old, I went to watch the Little Buddha with my friends. And that was a very weird situation. We didn't know why we watched that movie, right? That was about reincarnation. But a night before that day, I had a dream. I woke up and I told my mom, somebody gonna die. It's a couple, it's a young couple, but it's gonna hurt my brother more than it will hurt me, but it will hurt me. And it's an accident. I think it's a car accident, mom. I think it's a car accident. So she was freaking out because she sees also, but she didn't know what is going on. And that night, when it happened, actually, when we went to watch the Little Buddha, I went with my friends, and one of my friend's sister and her boyfriend went on a train, and it was the biggest train accident in Hungary, and they died. And it hurt my brother more than me because my brother was actually a very good friend with the my friend's sister boyfriend. I just knew it, and I had a vision, and it was like very clear vision.
Because you wow, it was more like lineage, family lineage of psychic
Mhm.
ability and very strong, and especially if you had that it's like you had a near you died, you were dead. It wasn't an ND near death experience, but you were actually gone. Maybe there was like some higher powers that were like, "No, we need you down here. You're coming back. You're coming back."
I did have a meditation when I left my body once, and actually somebody twice. It happened once I did have a reincarnation hypnosis, and they couldn't bring me back because of the psychologists just started reincarnation hypnosis, and we were the first group. I had a very bad experience, yes, but it's turned out to be okay. But I did have another one when my grandfather came back, who committed suicide and wanted to take my grandmother with him. He wanted to do a murder suicide, but thanks God my grandmother didn't die. And he came back to me during that session and said, I'm sorry, I wanted to take you, but then I learned I can't because he still wanted to punish my grandmother and wanted to take the firstborn grandchild, but eventually let me go back. That was my vision. And I was like, we didn't even talk about him for years, like 10 years. And I went for this vision quest. And then he came and he said, I'm sorry. I wanted to take you. Yeah.
That's really powerful. That's especially from such a young age. Mine too. Mine, I grew up in spiritual modalities and ashrams. My mom was always into Eastern religion with Swami Muktananda from the Foundation back in the 70s. I grew up, I didn't live in an ashram, but we would frequent ashram. Grew up with the spiritual, but I didn't realize that I had a gift until later on. I would get a very peculiar headache right here on the top when somebody was going to pass. And I would get very agitated and I'm like, something's wrong, something's going to happen. But I didn't get, I never, or I still, I don't get the insight of who it is. I don't get a first or last name. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. But I do know is that the more tragic the death is, the more intense the headache is. And I'll share a story that just happened recently. My really good friend's daughter ended her life about a month ago. And I was here one Sunday and I was telling my mom, I'm like, man, something's going to happen. I feel really a very powerful headache. It was like 15 hours with my head throbbing. I was like, something's going to happen. I don't know. And 2 days later, I got the call that she was gone. And then I associated that the deeper the headache, because I've had a lot of suicide, suicide in my family too. And all of the very tragic, violent is very strong headache. And so then I thought, oh, okay, there's something here. And then as the years went, I just started just getting playing with the tarot. And then I'd get some dreams, but I wasn't conscious of that I had this gift till 18 or 19. And I went to see a psychic. Actually, they weren't even psychics. In Venezuela, they do black magic, white magic, like with the
Yeah.
sun. Yeah, but it's not from a negative. But and one of the babalao, as they're called, said you have a vision, and you could also, if you're not careful, you can have a soul enter your body. So you have to be really careful because you have that. And that, of course, freaked me out because I did and experience some really crazy things when I lived in Venezuela. And I respect that, like, you have no idea. I know, I don't believe if something negative's coming my way, I know how to protect myself now, but back then, I was very young and very innocent, I didn't know. But, yes, it's been a beautiful journey, and then I've been developing it now for 20 years, and now when I do readings, I'm fully clairvoyant. I don't use the tarot, sometimes for fun. I do have one client that doesn't believe me if I don't use the tarot in front of them. I do a little show. I get it. She needs to have the tools. Have you
Yeah.
gotten any resistance? I've been challenged. I've had people tell me, "Oh, what's the then?" I'm like, "I don't have a crystal ball. That's not how this works."
Is resistance. And you know why? Because unfortunately, there is a lot of charlatan there, and a lot of people get burned by that. And there are a lot of people who pretend. And because of that, For example, even palmistry is a science, astrology is beautiful tools, but and it's sacred. You are giving something from yourself. So I don't want to convince anyone or convert anybody. I always chant before and say, ever needs my power, my energy, please send them in my way, but never anyone who is. But yes, there is resistance, of course, and there is always the one to ridicule you, of course. That is, you just don't engage into it, and that's all right. And many times you prove them wrong. Addictions with readings. I always have this. This is my symbolism card, but I need that a pacifier. Whenever I talk, I need to shuffle. It's not necessarily because, but it keeps me going. And on the other hand, I don't know if you realize it or not, but I did realize when I eat very clean, no meat and just a lot of veggies, or barely eat or starve myself, actually, I have pretty amazing visions, like really strong visions when I eat clean. Because also, anything to do with heavy meals, it is actually going to block your third eye. It's going to block your mind eye. And if you eat clean, obviously the toxins are out. If you do parasite cleans and things like that, it's out. You can actually help your intuition and actually become very intuitive and have psychic ability. North Node gonna go to Pisces next year in January, and it's going to be actually a lot of compassion. And because Pisces is psychic, right? And that's why we're going to have a lot more people who will become psychic. Plus Pluto in Aquarius as well, because Aquarius is the Akashic record. It's ruled by Uranus and Saturn, and Uranus is the Akashic record and the crown chakra. It's connection with the divine knowledge. So we're just going to tap in and out, and we're going to be capable to remember our previous lives. It is in your chart anyway. I can translate that to people. That's very easy. But yes, there is. And you can use in for example, in astrology, you can use a lot of asteroids. And for example, moon in Scorpio or moon in the 12th house or Uranus in Scorpio in the 12th house. There is a lot of indication over there, and like at least 150 indication. But definitely, water signs, Neptune, Plutonic indications are the strongest, and the moon also, because that's your subconscious. And the moon, for example, in Scorpio or in Pisces or in those houses, the water houses, that is a very strong indication. And of course, if you have Hecate, witchcraft, if you have this and that, yes, that could be also great like indicators.
Look at my chart again, and I'm a Cancer, I'm a water sign, and so I think but it's important because if you are somebody, any listeners here has that intuition, hey, I wanna know more if I'm psychic or not, or if I can develop the gift, it does help to find an indicator in astrology to say, "Hey, yeah, you do have it." And my question to you would be if you have a weakened one of the indicator for this, if you can develop it using other tools to help you enhance, or like the blue lotus that you recommended and the gold colloidal when I'm taking. What was the third one that you said that it was really strong for lucid dreaming? So it was the blue lotus, the gold.
Collider gold is one of the best. The blue lotus is also really good. And I do put, for example, I have my husband bought me a huge amethyst. Like I don't even want to know how much he paid for it, but he always buys me beautiful presents. And it's next to what is that? My bed, because of then I can, oh, moldavite. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Moldavite. Actually, I keep that sometimes when I really want to dream. I take a shot of colloidal gold and then I put them, and then I have lucidity like crazy. And it is coming, it is very strong prophetic dreams. For example, Turkey, the earthquake, like a year before, I kept saying to people, please don't go to Turkey, please don't go to Turkey. I just see the ground is going to open up and I see a lot of death. Please don't go. It's going to be an earthquake. And that's what happened. And some people listened, some not, but thanks God they didn't get hurt, my clients and friends, but I've just seen it. So yes, those are really great. For example, if you actually do detoxification, milk thistle, anything to do with, for example, white fur tea, because it's white fur, it's going to have with the spike protein, which is the either if you get vaccination or if you get the virus itself, you still have the spike protein inside, right? You want to get rid of it. And actually, white tea would help you to bind the spike protein and let it go. But you have to have your liver. You have to have with dandelion and milk thistle. And you have to do a parasite cleanse. And parasite cleanse, anything to do with cloves, pumpkin seed, anything to do with papaya seeds. So I put that in the smoothie in the morning and it's a tangy flavor. It's really good. And you do those, and then because of the parasites could create toxins in the body, and because it's lower, it's going to either have cognitive decline or focus and attention deficiency, attention spans, short attentions, and that's why you are not capable to focus. And yeah.
Don't use fluoride. Don't use
Mhm.
fluoride paste for your pineal gland. And yeah, I stopped using fluoride and I try to drink the best water possible. Obviously, it's not, sometimes you have to just do bottled water, but I do have a filtration system. And there's some other really herbs, like you said, that help to discalcify the pineal gland. And I think that you, like you said, you have to keep your body clean, exercise, ground. Sometimes I've had people call me for readings, and unfortunately, if I have just an off day or I'm not really grounded, sometimes I have to reschedule. And I also do mediumship readings where I talk to people from the other side. And I find that those type of readings can be very taxing on my emotional body, and sometimes it takes me a couple days to recover from an actual mediumship reading. But that just could be because it's dense for me, or I don't know if are you medium as well?
Yes, but it's not coming to me whenever I want or whenever they want to come. It's just coming whenever they want to, and then I have to give a message. Anything to do with my psychic ability as well. If somebody going to ask me, oh, I want to know this and this, I have visions, like very strong visions, and I have to call the person. And maybe I didn't talk to my friends for 5 years, but I just call her and say, all right, darling, you're going to congratulations on your twin son's pregnancy. And she said, oh, we want to be pregnant, but I'm not pregnant. And I said, yes, you are with twin boys. And then 2 weeks later, she called me and she said, oh my God, I'm pregnant, Christy. A month later, she called me, oh my God, I'm having twins. I'm not even going to question, actually, when is it a boy or not. It's two boys, and she's supposed to have them in February. You remember Saturn Pluto was actually conjuncting in January 2020. And I said, Amy, honey, you're gonna have the boys on January 20. And she was like, no, I'm February 12th. I was like, no, January 20. And she had that night. Or my other friend, she needed to have sanctuary and cleanse the house. And I do that for some of my friend clients. And I went to Jupiter up, I drove up, but actually I called her and I said, Ipsa, we really need to clean your house right now because your baby, the son is coming. 2 weeks early, he going to come on the eclipse. And she said, oh, Christy, please don't. And then 2 days before the baby boy was born, I went to cleanse the house and feng shui it. And of course, eclipse night, she was like, oh, and of course, she gave birth.
Oh, it's so exact. So it's almost like astrology, like you said, is a psychic tool within itself to predict.
But that was a vision for
That
me.
was a vision. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
You were saw the astrological event, but that was a vision. And when I checked, I was like, oh, okay.
So you got the both. I know it's me too. Like it just comes, and sometimes for all of those people that are wanting to know more about psychic abilities, I think you just have to find out what is your tool in your way. There's no one way, there's not one method, right? Spirit will come in and will guide you, and especially if you ask for guidance. I think that's a very powerful way to get more aligned. and to get help from the divine, your guides and angels to help you or loved ones to come in. And like you said, you have visions and loved ones, they do come into your dream. Have you had any type of visions about the next couple years from a global perspective, apart from the astrology, but you personally?
I did have one vision, and it was very heavy. And I didn't understand why I'm stepping through bodies and people asking help and I don't have. Because I'm a Pisces sun and I always have. I give my what is on me to you if somebody needs it. So we always have, me and my family always have. And I didn't understand why. And obviously, we are entering a very difficult phase. And look, really, what I'm gonna talk about tomorrow actually with Leda, it's Mars and Pluto opposition. And from that on, a lot of change going to come. And it's going to be a very intense energy. It's going to increase the war, obviously. But my vision was stepping over people. It means I was not able to help or I was scared to help because I have to save my family. And it's obvious. It's like that it's going to be, it's always distraction before we going to enter a beautiful phase. Because of the old structure has to go. The old is, it's, we are hanging on so tight, like Sedna was hanging on the boat and the father cut off the hand because she had to go and Sedna didn't die. Actually, she became the goddess of the underwater, right? So she became a goddess, but she wanted to hold on to that. And she got betrayed by the father and cut off her fingers, but then she became someone who's supposed to, because many times we hold on to things that does not serve us anymore. And if somebody helps us, even it's an outside force aggressively, but we are then capable to become our purpose. Yeah. But besides that, there was a lot of other thing in my life when I called clients and I said, darling, you have to go because I just had a vision. I came out from meditation and one of my client, I saw like a 9 cent dark something around the chest. And then she fell with the bicycle next day and she called, oh, probably that's what you saw. And she showed me the chest. And I was like, no, can you go back to the doctor? I think you have a breast cyst or tumor. She did have, but they removed it and she's fine. She's still fine. And one day I remember one of my clients, when I still did face to face in my home, I'm not doing anymore because people don't even understand. They drain your family, making them sick, psychic attacks constantly. They don't, it's not intentional. They don't want to use my energy, but they are needy or fearful or the guidance powerless and they seeking and they are attached to me so badly. Obviously I get sick many times with migraine throwing up because of people took my energy. I don't let them around, but that time that lady came in, she was a Russian lady, and I just look at her in the door and I said, you have to go to the doctor. You have a tumor in your breast. Oh, no, Christina, I don't. I went to what was that, mammogram. And I said, no, honey, you have to go back. And she was very stubborn and I raised my voice. And usually I don't do that. But somehow something made me to, you have to go to the doctor. And she was a little bit like, all right, I know you a long time, what are you doing? But she did, thanks God. They found actually the tumor and they removed it. And then she came back and she said, thank you so much. You saved my life. And when I saw her, I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. And she said, what? And I was like, they didn't find one under here. So she went back and she removed. At the beginning, I just saw one, but when she came back, I just saw the other
But
one. And
that's you like a medical empath. I think you have a little bit of medical empath because once you start reading the body, that could be, or a medical intuitive.
yeah, but I think it doesn't matter if it goes to medical field or if it's like I'm telling them, can you please not sit in the car right now because there I can see something very weird and I see a red car coming. And then they had the accident with the red car. But I just see, maybe because I'm a nurse, maybe that's why I just see the body right away. But on the other hand, as I said, Jose Silva mind technique, we actually had exercises to examine the body, close the eyes, somebody is next to you, or think of someone, and you could detect illnesses. I was practicing this. Maybe that's why. So
Oh,
if
okay. I've never done it personally. I've done some of the meditations on YouTube, but I never actually did a course. But you think that the course definitely helped you open up your psychic abilities.
not just that, Silva mind control had saved my life and changed my life forever. I can thank for that person, Jose Silva, and actually the Hungarian guy, Domjan Laszlo, who was teaching me, and I love him forever. And they changed my life, absolutely changed my life. The vision board, like when you go to meditate and you actually visualize something and it's coming through. And I was living by that. And recently, when I had my boys, I was so occupied with them and overwhelmed with motherhood. I stopped it and I just get back to it with the Buddhist chanting because we became Buddhist as well. And the two together is so powerful and it's healing me. And I removed noodles from my mom, healed her cancer. Oh my God. It is just unbelievable and amazing. Amazing.
Well,
Yes.
it's wonderful. I love hearing stories like this about tools that help you grow. And especially you already have, from what you're saying, like an innate ability to connect. And then you did this, and it's just like extra confirmation. And then in your chart, I'm sure you have being a Pisces, correct?
I'm sorry. I have a water grand trine. And I do have Archangel Gabriel conjunct with my Pisces sun. And I have Jupiter also over there. And Uranus in Scorpio, it's very psychic. The moon in the eighth house, it's just like crazy. It's very, and Saturn also on Sirius. So I have that. My husband actually has a stellium, 7 planets in Scorpio in the eighth house. Very, very intense. And he heard and he saw when he was a child, but his parents were not open to it. He didn't get support like I did. It was not a taboo in my family, but because we got together, and you will see, guys, if you get together with someone, usually they also have, or either they're going to find out they had some kind of ability, but just they were not able to practice. But since he is with me, and this is a long time, 25 years, we will be together next year, it's blind and we both psychic, and we never actually questioned the boys when they were talking. Martin was a year and a half and talking 2 languages and said, "Oh, grandpa is on the dragonfly. And did you see mommy, grandpa on the and never met grandpa.
Wow, that's amazing. So they have that vision.
Oh, for example, Zsombor, the younger one, so Matan was a twin, but one of them died for me, and it's absorbed. And one day they were playing, and Matan just pushed a little bit of Zsombor, just leave me alone. And Zsombor was already talking. He didn't talk until he was 3.5. He did talk a language we didn't understand. He only called the moon Uma, and that's a Sanskrit word we found out, and that is, but it's amazing. So since then, the full moon is Uma for us. But Zsombor, when he already could talk, he told Matan, "You so mean. Why do you push me? Just like in mommy's belly, you pushed me out." And I was sitting and I was like, what the? And
Yeah.
he obviously he didn't know what's happened. And I was like, okay. And one day he was in the bathtub, not one day, many times in the bathtub, he had a lot of matchbox. And one particular matchbox he was playing with and always crashed it. And I was like, what are you doing? You don't like that matchbox? And this is a beautiful Porsche. He said, I should not buy this car, mommy. I was like, why? You don't like it? Do you want me to give it to the poor children? No. You remember when I was what? Bought this car, I sit into this, and I just drove fast, fast, and my hair was blowing. And I just went in the car and died.
Oh, wow, you had a vision of a past life.
Yes. And
Oh my gosh, so you had these very evolved little boys that must have been like, "What did you just say?"
no, but they see the spirit. And they are like, we had a little Asian boy in our previous house, and both of the children were seeing the hunter as well. And they didn't understand who is the hunter in our house until I called the previous owner and I said, did somebody died in this house? And he said, yes, that was a Marine guy who moved in for 3 months when I rented out and died in a car accident because my son who was talking, Martin was always talking, he said the hunter is here in the uniform. He has a gun.
And how's he understanding that? Wow.
And the little one just showed me the picture, the gun and that, and I was like, who is this guy? And I was scared, and because George, my husband, sees, I was like, can you please show yourself to George? Leave me alone because I'm overwhelmed right now. But
Yeah, I
can
get it.
you show yourself? And then Christmas, he showed himself to me. And we were watching TV. He came and he was in actually the Marine clothes. And 45 seconds, he was standing and saluting me. And then he became look through and disappeared.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Now, when I see him from the back of my mind, like in the back
Okay.
head, I have seen I will say I have seen like extraterrestrial activity.
Yes.
And I'll talk about that with you in a little bit, but like I don't physical like if I see my hand, that's tangible to me. But I do see things and I don't know how to explain it. I think that I have something with the crown chakra, I must be the crown. And I just get all that information, but I do hear, but I don't hear audio and I don't see it like they do show me things, but not like a movie or anything like that. That's why I'm saying everybody's different, but I at the beginning, I would doubt myself and I would say, "Oh gosh, am I going crazy?" And then somebody that had passed would come into the room and say, "Hey, I really need you to tell this person A, B, C, D, E," and 16, 17 years old, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, how in the hell am I gonna tell this woman that her dead husband that was run over by a car, how am I gonna approach this?" So I was like, "Hey, I don't know if you're open, but I have a gift and your husband's here," and everybody obviously gets either very emotional if it's a loved one because they're like,
Very,
"You know that," and I'm like, "They're here and they wanna chit chat, so do you have 30 minutes?" 30 I've scared people, not me. I thought I was being of service, but then now I charge, I don't do anything for free, and I have had clients that I've worked for. I was, an interior designer, and their son had wrapped his car around a tree and died. And every time I would go over there, he would be like, "Please talk to my parents." And these people were not opened at all to this type. I would have probably gotten fired from the job as a designer if I said, "Oh, such and such is here and he'd like to tell you." And sometimes I had to learn that fine line when it's okay and when it's not. So I'm like you. I'll still see people out of the house, but it is taxing when you have energy and people coming and then they bring in all their energy. Then you have to double clean and do your spiritual hygiene. And sometimes it takes. I've had entities of people that have passed that have stayed in my house for a couple of days that have knocked me out in bed, be in bed, passed out. I'm exhausted. And I thought, oh, that's what it is.
yeah, that's what it is because when they are coming, they are taking all your energy and it is just very exhausting. But I want to tell you another and tell you guys a few more stories. My little one, not just remember this one, but my neighbors moved in and we became friends that day. I didn't know this woman, right? And Jombor went over there and just started to talk and hugged this lady, Terry, who is my friend right now, and said, hi, I'm Jombor. Do you remember when I was in your belly and you were my mommy?
Oh my
I looked at my husband and, oh my God, I
goodness.
don't even know them. They think we're gonna be crazy or they're gonna call the child support service. and hugged her. And Teddy lost the baby and could never have another one. And they are so strongly close. I let Jumbo to call her whenever because of their each son previous life situation. She was the mother of my son at once. And Matan has actually Uranus in Pisces in the eighth house. And my older one has a smell for finances. He sees spirits. He saw the little Chinese guy. Saw the hunter back. Somehow, with inventing money, he said, "Can I start my stock?" I was like, "You 10." "Yes, but Warren Buffett was 10 when he started. I'm already 11 and you're not gonna lend me." And I was like, "Okay, here is $100." And we put in this guy. If I would have listened to him, everything, NVIDIA, everything, he put his money in and it is 10 times, 15 times more. My son makes, has that kind of intuition. He just sees patterns or he has those visions. And I was like, "But how do you know those stocks?" And he just, "Oh, I just saw this pattern over there. You don't see, mommy? Here it is." And has that spell. And he invests. And right now we are listening. Right now we are listening with my husband. He's amazing with that. But the
Wow.
other one,
But yeah, that's nice. You might score some a big investment and by become a gazillionaire. That would be fantastic.
would be fantastic because I could have a lot of people I want to have the whole entire world. And that's why I never gonna win. Because of that, psychic ability again. And that is another thing. My husband once came home and said, "I gonna bet for the soccer." It was 2016, I don't know. No, 2009, something like that. I was like, "What you gonna do?" "I gonna bet for the soccer at $100." I was like, "Are you crazy? We are having a baby." "No, you are a psychic. You should tell me the things." And I was like, "Oh my God." I was like, "I don't use my ability for this, George. Leave me alone." But he was telling me. So I sat down and I started to tell him, and he said, "Oh my God, this is it can't happen 7-1. It can't happen." I was like, "You needed my opinion. I told you what I saw."
Mm.
He did it, and he came home with 1,000 or something dollars.
Oh,
He
wow.
all of it, yes. And then people started to say, "Yeah, you have a wife who is psychic," and maybe, but that was the thing. But I never used it again. I never used it again.
I had a funny story. I started dreaming with numbers, and I started playing, and then there was this one time I was in Washington, DC, and if I would have played, like, 2 or 3 numbers, but I didn't remember, I could have won a couple million, and then, like, 10 years ago, I dreamt with some numbers, and I played, and I won 500, and then I didn't know how to play the day and night because it was, like, 3 numbers. And when I went back, the guy was like, "Oh, if you would have played day and night, da da da, you would have won like $6,000." Then I was like, "I don't know how to play this. I just played the numbers." But so, no, why not, right? Bashar?
No.
Oh, he channels an ET that's named Bashar. His name's Daryl Anka, and he's always saying, if you connect with that higher vibration of it, you can alter reality and tap into that. So I do believe that we are stronger than we think we are. And if you're meant to, I guess you will. If you're meant
Yeah.
to, I joke around. Yeah, I don't know the lotto numbers. Sometimes I do have visions with numbers. I do play,
Mhm.
why not? But it's
And
not
you
always
should
guaranteed.
actually, if you are playing it and if you are helping humanity, because that's the thing. It depends why do you want to use that money for. If you want to pay it forward, or if you want to adopt children, or have the dogs, or whatever you want to. Obviously, yes, that is. You can, yes, you can do that.
So are you currently getting back to the psychic? So you do readings, but it's more like palmistry. And then do you do regular psychic readings? So if somebody calls you, or is it more with the astrology?
No, but I do. So when I do the readings, I check the chart. I have this in my hand. Sometimes I one card fall out or something like that, and I do say things which I have no idea why did I say it. And
Mm.
And even in astrology, guys, you can interpret one aspect between planets like 15 different ways. But I always ask my spirit guide to help me to say the right things. So I always hit everything on the head. Like, how can you start with, I don't even know, did you just buy a new green furniture? Why did I say that? Yes, it is green, the color. Yes, it could be a furniture, but it could be something else. It could be a dog on a meadow as well. So why did I say that? Because of something is making me to say. And that's what I told many times. Yes, I combine everything. And my psychic visions and ability is extreme, but extreme.
Wow, I love that. I love that. Yeah, and I think always, and Christine and I do it, you call in a prayer, you call yourself in, you surround the client or let them also like, hey, take some time, take 3 deep breaths. I have clients that I do readings for online and I can just tell they're flustered. They just walked in the door. They're just sitting down to get the reading because of whatever. And I'm always like, okay, now let's just take 5 minutes for you to ground yourself because as a channeler, and I tell people, I didn't say anything. I'm just the channel. I'm just
Mhm.
the channeler. It's your guides and angels. I'm just attuned. I've been doing this for a long time. I know how to do it, but because you told me, no, I did not tell you. I was communicating your guides and your angels because sometimes people don't want to hear. They don't wanna hear what you have to say, and especially with women and romance and men, and is she the one? Is he the one? Is and then if it doesn't work out, then you're the bad one.
Yes, the messenger. I always tell them, don't shoot the messenger. There is just an energy over here, guys. And if you seek for advice, either you take it or you can. But I always tell them mind over matter, and you are capable. Even the spirit works, yes, they can come and giving us nightmares. And because I know my boys had, and there I another situation over here which you guys going to be blown away. Martin was he's my older son. And I had my friend died from cancer. And we helped her a lot. And her daughter was over because of they were friends with Martin, India. And Sarah died in breast cancer. And one day I told Martin because we were outside doing herbs and he had to have a quick shower. And he went in the bathroom, actually the shower, and started to shower. And we heard a scream, which we never in our entire life you want to hear your child scream like that.
Right.
And we were running with George two different way. We just almost knocked others out. We were running into the shower. Martin was shivering and screaming, and we were like, "What's happened?" And he was like, "The lady in white dress and long red hair. She just appeared in the shower, mommy. She just appeared in the shower." I was like, "George sees." I say, "We explained. Probably that was a spirit. It's a lost spirit. We don't know why is it here. That's all right." That night, I put him to sleep. Finally, I gave him a melatonin and colloidal gold to not to have nightmares. I talked to him. Okay, they could sleep in our bedroom. All right. And then I went to have a bath. And I put my cell phone next to me, but I didn't touch my cell phone. And the cell phone turned on my Facebook and Sarah appeared, but I didn't know Sarah with long red hair. I never knew her.
Yeah, I got
And
that.
in a white short dress. And I was like, oh my God, Sarah, that was you. And next day I showed Matt and I was like, Matt, can I show you a picture? Yes. And he was like, who is this? I was like, this is Sarah. Sarah showed herself to you to thank you because that day, Martin called her daughter because her daughter had her birthday. And Martin was like, I'm thinking about you. If you ever need me, I'm here for you. And the mother showed, and that was like amazing. And I was like, that was Sarah. And he was like, okay, Sarah, thank you so much. Thank you. But can you not show yourself to me anymore? You just, yeah.
Yeah, super scary. Oh, that's that and for a child, that Cleo is young. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, when they show up like that, I have had some. I had an entity, like an ET entity in Venezuela, and I had our in our country home, and it was like it looked like this see-through liquid advanced, and then it came in. I looked up, and then it looked like it was coming in to me, and I was like, "Oh." And then the next morning, I went back to Caracas, my apartment, and I walked by a mirror, and I looked over and I said, "Oh, you're back." It was me coming, it was my future self and being coming in back into my body in this lifetime.
Oh,
And then my
okay.
whole life changed. My whole life changed. And when I was from the ages of 9 to 12, I publicly discuss this now, but I heard galactic voices from light language. Now I know what it is, but I had no idea when I was 7 years old. When I first came from Venezuela to the United States, and I lived in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and my grandmother said, You're gonna go to the loony bin if you tell anybody about these voices." So, I just lived with it, and then one day I prayed, I was like, "Turn it off, turn" it was like it felt like high-pitched dolphins,
Yes.
and it was for, like, years, it was there, and then one day it just turned off, and I never heard the voices again, and then shortly after, I met a Native American shaman, and he said, "You are very advanced in your
Mm.
in body," and "You're gonna have a lot of challenges in your life, but if you learn how to cope with these 2 souls that are living within you, then you're gonna be able to, like, advance." So that was really my closest, just I guess you wanna say, connection to the unknown, to to the astro, to the stars.
One day when I had that dream, I told you guys when my friend died actually in the train crash. That night when we were walking home, we were watching the Lila Buddha about the reincarnation. And that night also what's happened with us, we had a UFO see, and we never talked about that for 20 years. Actually, we only talked about that 5 years ago when Martin was 10 already and asked me if I believe in UFOs and if I ever seen one. And then I remembered and I was like, let's call my friend and let's have a talk because we never. So when we were walking home, it's not enough. That's when happened the accident and I had a vision before. But we were walking and then we started to slow down, like that slow motion that you can do with your phone right now. So we started to walk like this and it was like September, end of August, no, September. We picked up the leaf and we threw that in the air, and the leaf never came down. Not for, it was around like 15 minutes around, but it was up there and everything slow motion. And I looked around, and one column of light was on us, one column of light, like 2 kilometers away by the hospital. A couple was kissing. One other old man was walking home with a cane, and it was altogether 8 columns light. And we saw people very far away, but 8 columns, and everybody was slow motion, and we were laughing. The lights disappeared, the leaves went down, we looked at each other's. We started to walk. We never talked by the time. We had a slumber party at my friend's house, and all the girls stayed there. We never talked about that after until my son was 10 years old, and I had to call all my friends. And they were all like, we saw UFOs, we saw somebody cleared us out, or we don't know. But I think my psychic ability got a lot more intense. If I remember back, I was only 17 back then. If I remember back, actually, my psychic ability is very intense since then.
Wow, and have you ever had a vision with an I don't like to call them aliens, they don't like being called that, they like being called ETs, but have you ever had a vision of them coming to you?
I had once when somebody entered my back, wanted to enter my back, and it was very difficult. I lived with a New Zealand guy and in Budapest, and he found me halfway on the floor. I was screaming. He said I made voices like It was very painful. It was like really scary. And he ran into my room and I was halfway down. It was an entity wanted to get into me. Thanks God it couldn't. It was a very dark entity. And one time I did have a very long guy. It was a malish energy, but it was like 3 meter. And it was just actually 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when my son's barum teacher died. And we got desperate because he was like a grandpa to us and we were grieving very badly. And I told Danny, I was like, can you please come to me because of I can live, I can breathe. And he came in my dream and he told me why did he have to go? What should I tell to Katya? I did and everything. So this was beautiful. She received it. And but that night also I saw this and my eyes was open. And I do smell before they come, I have a cigar, a very special cigar smell. It's sweet.
How interesting. How interesting.
Mhm.
Wow. But at least you've learned how to recognize the cues within like with me when I get the headaches and sometimes now I know 30 years later, I just figured that out last like a month ago. I was like, oh, the more violent the death, the stronger my headache. Oh, okay. But I didn't put two and two together. Or when I haven't taken the colloidal gold and the blue lotus that you recommended. And then the other one you said was white fur or
Yes, white actually it's cleansing out the the spike protein, toxicity.
because I looked it up on Amazon and it was a lot of like essential oils, but no, it's not it, right?
I'm gonna send it to you. Yes, I'm gonna send it to you. But I also wanted to share another thing over here because I have clear vision. I see them with my open eye. I'm not crazy. I saw the hunter, which was the guy who died in that house, and the children saw him. But I see orb floating next to me. And when I went to just touch them, and it's like a little lightning going in, they disappear. Or I feel the smell. And then one day I was crying and I was running to the other room. George was sitting with Martin reading a book. And he was like, oh my God, what's happened? Because I supposed to put Jean-Paul to bed, and I did. And I was like, why is it so cold here? George hates cold. He wouldn't put the AC to 60. So they coming with cold as well. And then my grandpa appeared, and the grandpa was everything to me. And then the smell that, oh my God, he drinks everything. And we were talking, and I was like, why are you so wise? You didn't have a lot of education. And he started to laugh and he said, oh, honey, you're so cuckoo. Over here with God, we know everything. And he was anyway a streetwise, very wise person, but he made me laugh and being obsessed with the full moon because he told me all the time the gypsies are on it playing the violin. So I love the violin. So he just had amazing storytelling. And he came to me and I smell him. I smell his aftershave when he's coming and very intense with my eyes. And when I was born, we had an attorney who stole our money and it was terrible. Stole $150,000 from us 14 years ago. So we got broke. Not broke, but almost. And yes, I was like, okay, I don't want to have another child, whatever. And then I opened my eyes. I was meditating. I opened my eyes, looked at the curtain, and the little angel was fluffing. I didn't see the face, but fluffing. I was like, George, you're running to my husband. Oh my God, crying again. What's happened again? I was like, I saw an angel. I saw an angel. 2 days later, I won $60,000.
what? Wow.
And
That yeah, that's a great story.
and I found out I'm pregnant with my second son.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I think you're definitely advanced as far as getting all these visions. And so to wrap it up, and I try to keep them under an hour just because, but I feel like it's important for people to know that if you are getting visions, if you are dreaming, if you are getting sensations, if you get that gut feeling, your hairs are sticking up, or that you could have this ability and all you need to do is be open to receive and explore and play and ask, right? I always say, ask your guides and angels, ask your guides and angels.
Mhm.
And to explore and to develop this gift, the right, you'll be guided. And like we said at the very beginning of the episode, I really do feel that everybody has it. Nobody's better or nothing. It's just some people are more open, intuitive, or you have the indicators in astrology that help you.
Oh, yeah.
And then you said there's a whole bunch of different combinations. So for somebody that would like to know if they have this gift, then they can call you and get a reading, an astrology reading, and it could be more exact. And I also do readings as well. So either of us, we could do readings. But there is a subtle difference between the mediumship and the psychic. It's subtle, and then you can also access the Akashic records. I do that too. A lot of people think that you have to be somebody special to work with the Akashic, and I always
No,
yeah,
no.
anybody can work. You just like anything, you got to practice. And if I like the Silva, it's Carlos Silva method, and I do his meditations. There's this one video audios that I really love, and it's just but I haven't actually I've read a lot of other things, but I'm gonna dive into him a little bit and see.
You guys go to YouTube, it's free access. There
Yeah.
is a lot of
Yeah.
free video. And actually, what is the guy in the Mind Valley, the Indian guy? Oh my God.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
He is continuing actually Silva method. And I'm telling you, this is everybody has it. Somebody has Audi, somebody has vision like me, somebody feels here, somebody feels cold or smells. I do feel every. It is just a matter of time when you can. I truly believe this is and Pisces, North not going Pisces guys, we all going to have it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I'm definitely want to talk about next time, well, let's talk about feng shui.
Okay, feng shui is good.
Yeah, I did it with the Blue Mountain School in Seattle, and it was like the first form school of feng shui. There's 5 schools.
Mm.
I did the one with the just working with nature and then working with the remedies. Uh,
Okay.
I'd like to learn more about yours, and let's do a feng shui episode. And I want to talk about the herbs too, because I know you do that.
We can do that next time. First feng shui, and after we can do the herbology and whatever, or astroherbalism. Doesn't matter which line.
So with the astrology, just to circle back, because I did put that we were going to just talk about the astrology besides the indicator. So is there anything besides you feel like there might be a war with the US in the United States, or do you think it's the Ukraine, Russia is going to get worse? And
Now the US is involving in it because of we do have unfortunately Mars going retrograde in Leo. But at this moment, as it is November 3rd, Mars still is in Cancer in 4, opposing Pluto, the very last degree, karmic degree. US has a Sagittarius rising. And Trump is in danger, very big danger. He has the worst. And guys, don't even dare to say I wish something bad on anyone because I never interpreting the energy over here. So unfortunately, there is a lot of squares, and no matter who you're going to listen, this is a very heavy, intense energy. And yes, unfortunately, I do believe the US going to have some kind of
in, in the homeland.
yes in the homeland, maybe like a Pearl Harbor, what we had before.
Oh, okay, in the US. Okay.
Mhm.
And when is Mars going to get out of Cancer? Do you know?
Unfortunately, Mars is getting out of Cancer end of October right now. Gonna go to, yes, gonna go to Leo, but it's coming back to Cancer on January 7th, retrograding back from Leo, and gonna go February 24th. That's my 50th birthday on direct. And that was 3 years ago when actually Russia started the war against Ukraine. And if you guys heard it, Russia, actually, Korea already helps Russia as is today. And also they took the BRIC nations, BRICS, right now, and they are going to take their currency. So the US dollar is done.
Oh, okay. So would you say as a provision, Americans in general should start stocking up on food, water, amenities?
Medicine will be very important.
Medicine. And do you, with your astrology, can you tell if there's an area in the US that, or that's too much of a difficult question?
We know about the hurricanes, obviously, and I said
Well, you know, that
Elena
was
has,
real. You know that, you know why that happened.
yeah.
It
So I
definitely
say
different.
that. So I can. It's gonna be like big cities, guys. It's obvious they have to do
New
something.
York, LA. Yeah, yeah. Oh gosh. All right. All I need to tell all the listeners is that this is the plane of polarity and duality, and we all are here. We're all masters of our reality. Don't be afraid. You can always choose and say, I'll be at the place at the right time with the right people and choose a higher version. These are just tools that astrology and people that are very gifted like Christina, that you're just very gifted with astrology that can pinpoint several things, and it's just bringing awareness. So turn
Yeah.
that into something positive and don't go into fear monger mode, but just embrace it and prepare because this has been prophesized for many years. I think we're getting closer to that collapse, in my humble opinion.
And either you can, Mars could be a terrorist or a hero, right? So
Right.
there is duality in each planet. So choose to be the hero and choose to fight against or meditate, pray. It's all helps. So that's what I'm doing. But yes, I'm just trying to do the best and be a decent person and help every single day and pray and meditate. And that's it.
And just stay focused and elevate in a higher frequency. So much. I've so much enjoyed having you.
Thank you so much.